Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to the Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey podcast, episode 298. Holy crap, Chris, are you there?
I am here. How are you?
Doing great. 298, doing great. How about that?
298,
I'm a
doing
poet
great.
and didn't know
I like it. Hey, we have a really cool setup tonight, man. This is awesome.
You know, this is, I don't think we've ever done this before. So obviously recording remote. I'm in God's country, Minden, Nevada.
Uh-huh.
You're down there in Livermore, California.
My God's country, yeah.
Your God's country. It's wine country. It is wine country, and it is very nice. I don't want to discount that. You do have a great area there.
Yep.
And so this podcast was supposed to happen, I think, frickin' 2.5 weeks ago or something. And it got postponed because of lake bed cough, I don't know, whatever was going on, and then schedules. And here we are. So we scheduled this thing for Sunday. Here we are Sunday.
Yep.
Sunday fun day. And our guest, you know, very important people, very they're about the country. And apparently one of the guests couldn't make it to my house that lives like 20 minutes from me.
Uh-huh.
So we have Amber Slawson and Tom Liu in the Heezy baby.
Yep.
Amber's with you, sitting next to Chris in Livermore.
That's right.
We're 2 and 2.
You defected down to the Bay Area, and Tom and I are up here in God's country. So we have guests. Each one of us have a guest in our house. This is pretty cool.
It's wonderful to be able to reroute on the run or on the fly. You know, Amber called me a little bit ago and said she was in the area and it wasn't going to make it to your place on time. And if was it okay if she rerouted to my house? And I'm like, of course.
And your wife goes, "Who's this blonde at my door?"
She's standing outside the door with her ear up to it, but no. But yeah, Amber, as you all know, is a native to the Tri-Valley area, and so she was visiting some family and some family in the area, and I'm fortunate to have her as a guest at my house.
Couldn't drive fast enough to get back to Minden, so
yeah. Were you in your Suzuki or what?
Oh no. I put that new rooftop tint on and I'm getting way worse fuel economy and the thing's slower now. So,
oh boy. Yeah. So, this is cool. So, we wanted to make this happen. We did a podcast prior to KOH with you and Randy talking about prepping and getting, you know, your game plan for KOH and how you were going to dominate. And look what transpired. Here we are. Hey,
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, you did.
No,
I did.
Right?
Oh, jeez.
I said it as soon as I got back from Shockton with her. I don't even think I saw Amber until Tuesday or Wednesday of race week.
Of race week, really? Yeah. And you were down on the desert.
Shockton
So this is
Monday.
Tom talking, by the way, for us listeners out there. That's Tom's voice, Tom Liu. And give a little intro, Tom. Your background in KOH, you got a badass car. I mean, you're no stranger to all this stuff. So you're not just a wrong seat filler. So what's your background?
Yeah, so I've been down to KOH since 2012. I've never really gone to the races, just a spectator. I used to pit crew and co-drive for Alex Hardaway in the 4481 car,
okay,
way back when. And I met him wheeling just after high school, and I knew about KOH. I'd been trying to go for a couple years and just plans never worked out. And then I met Alex and he drugged me down there and put me to work as his pit crew. And I fell in love with it the first year I was there. And I pretty much put everything I owned up for sale and said, I'm going to build a race car. And did that in from 2000.
Poor financial decisions.
Awful financial decisions.
Stuff you do when you're young.
So very, very detrimental. But in the long run, it's been worth it. It's been a really fun ride. So I built a car from 2013 to 2015, and then raced my first hammers in 2016.
No shit. And what's the car? Talk about your car a little bit.
It's a Jimmy's chassis.
Yeah.
Is what it started as. It was a Jimmy's Podium. Randy sold me that chassis, and
No kidding.
Yeah, we brought it home we were racing in New Mexico, and I just bought the bare chassis, and we threw it in the back of Alex's race trailer, and then took it home to his shop. And I had never MIG welded, I had never fabricated, I had never done anything other than a carbureted Toyota pickup on 37s.
Oh boy.
And just decided I was going to build a race car. So
does that even have less horsepower than a Samurai?
I know that's like a way better way to learn how to work on a rig is to build your own race car instead of I want to put rock sliders on my Samurai.
Right.
I will say Amber's Samurai was a hell of a lot better ride and a little bit faster than my old Toyota.
Really?
Thank you.
I love that Samurai. It's super fun to race in. It was a blast. But yeah, so I spent the next 3.5 years building that car while still going to all the races with Alex, whether I was pit crew or co-driving.
Okay.
Started to hop in with some other people co-driving. I co-drove with Gomez brothers when they were first starting out.
Oh boy.
And a couple other people, and just never got away from the sport. And once I put my own car together, I raced the hammers 16, 17, 18. And then in 19, I raced for somebody else in the Legends class. And then I kind of took a step back, focused on my career and real adulting stuff.
Damn adulting stuff. I know it sucks.
Real pain in the ass.
Yep.
And that's when I really started to co-drive a lot. Co-drove for Casey Shear in Mexico, and we podiumed. Co-drove for a couple other folks throughout the years. And then Amber and I don't even remember how it happened.
How'd you guys meet?
Well, we met because she was working for Randy. And I think I was just before, right around the same time I had moved up to the area, because I'm originally from Marin, Sonoma County.
Okay.
And so when I moved up to Northern Nevada, I believe she started just after that. And I don't remember how the first time went when I actually ended up co-driving for her, but rode with her in the Samurai, and then her brother would do the rock laps,
right,
and I would do the desert laps with her. And it just kind of went from there to all the way to this year.
Pretty much, yeah. I got to Lake Bed that year, and Stuart more or less said, "I want another co-driver in there, so I don't have to be in there the whole time."
Yeah,
he didn't
all
want
the
to
miles in this Samurai.
That's right. In there, yeah, because I knew her brother too.
Okay,
just through wheeling and stuff like that, and then. But as I was saying when we started this tangent about my mediocre racing career, when I don't think I saw Amber until Tuesday or Wednesday of race week. I was also co-driving for another guy in the 4400 class. So I was spread pretty thin between helping Goodby with whatever I could with the short course, kind of prep and stuff. Co-driving 4400 and co-driving 4800. I was running around a lot. So finally ended up seeing Amber. She was out shock tuning with Uribe and Randy, and then a new bomber that Randy had put together for
Craig.
Yeah.
Craig Ford.
Craig Ford. Yeah. And, she was like, "Hey, you want to go for a ride?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." So threw a helmet on. Didn't know we were going to go for that kind of a ride. And we went out. And no bullshit. Like we went out, first couple corners, I was like, man, she's hanging it out there. Like this is fast.
From a Samurai to a bomber.
And I mean, she's a super talented driver. In the Samurai, it was always impressive just watching her drive that thing. But we went for a ride in the bomber, in the first couple corners. I was like, man, we're going for it. And then it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And she didn't fade, laced every corner together. And I was just, man, this is impressive.
Right on.
And packed up, went back to, we were out on Bessemer Mine Road, went back to Hammertown, and ended up tying it with a couple of my friends at camp that I grew up with. And those guys were my pit crew for me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Hey, how was riding the car with Amber?" And I was like, first thing I said to one of my best friends was like, "Dude, I really think we have a shot.
Wow.
This is impressiove." And they're like, "No way." I was like, "No, dude, I really think we could podium this thing. Like she is a weapon in that car."
Wow.
And then I remember when we did it, when we came back, my friends were like, "Dude, you called it."
Yeah.
Like, I told you.
Yeah.
Like, I've done
manifestation.
I know what it.
Been there, done that.
I know what it takes, and she had it, and I knew it right as soon as I got in that car.
That's freaking cool. Yeah, so you had a couple co-dog duties on the lake bed, as most popular co-drivers, right seat fillers on the lake bed. Yeah, so that's interesting. I didn't know you guys didn't hook up till Tuesday before.
We had plans to, and then you guys know how plans
Oh
go.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
KOH. It's
Between recreational drinking and hanging out and race carring, there's a lot of irons in the fire.
Everything needs to remain
So
fluid.
It's hard.
You
to
do.
spread your time around.
You have to stay flexible on the lake bed if you're trying to meet people and stuff. And it's like, oh my God. But stuff comes up, it's like, oh, night run. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, no. Okay. So that's cool. Yeah. Cause I've met you, Tom, before and obviously through Amber, as the right seat in the Samurai. And I thought you were fucking crazy for riding right seat in the Samurai. And
that was always fun too. It was everyone was like, "Oh man, how brutal is it?" I was like, "Dude, it's not.
Yeah,
it goes as fast as it possibly can.
Yeah,
and that speed isn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
You're live streaming IG on the lake bed, and
going 12 miles an hour.
Yeah,
downhill with a tailwind.
Speed that one or the last year
60.
60 something.
Yeah, I think it was 60, either
60.
55 or 60 on that back stretch going through the military base.
And it's fun too, because like even all the bumps you would hit, like it would just kind of bounce through them. It was never what I thought was brutal.
Well, and then yeah, when she started working at Bomber and then got some suspension technology going on in that car.
Yeah, the King shocks really made it, dude.
That was a lot better. Yeah. Okay, so this is cool. So there's Tom's background. Amber, welcome back. I think you are the leader in the clubhouse as our number one guest here on the podcast now.
Sorry, Kevin Jones.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Good old
Shout
Kevin
out to
Ultra
Kevin
4
Jones.
Jones.
It's so let's pick up where we left off before Hammers. We had our little pre Hammers podcast there. You were super excited. You were doing your homework. Let's get your thoughts on going into KOH 2025 here. And obviously getting to work on your race car yourself and the whole thing, and putting the Samurai as a trail runner, retiring the Samurai.
Yeah, I think I drove it like halfway to Turkey Claw this year and back, and it got driven up to my parents' camp, and that was it.
And that was it? Oh,
yeah.
Shoot. Poor Samurai. It
put out the pasture.
5 years, right?
Cruiser.
It raced 5 years.
Yeah, 2020 through 2024, 5
and
years.
It used to pick up range balls at a golf course. I mean,
Yep.
that Samurai has lived a life beyond any other Samurai on the face of this earth. I can tell you that.
Mhm.
But it was time. It was time to retire the old Samurai and move on. And yeah, so let's pick up there.
So going into KOH, I guess where I left off was, like you said, I was doing my homework and I was trying to memorize trails, and I was really stoked that I think last minute we made a shock tuning appointment for Sunday, Monday. And so we had 2 solid days where we were just shock tuning. And we did rebated fantastic work on the 48 car. And it was a completely different machine from the one I'd been driving all year long. The one that I was driving over Christmas, like just night and day difference, like so much more confidence inspiring and rode so much better, and I could go so much faster. And so
let's expand on that a little bit. So obviously King shocks, and that is so intriguing to me, shock tuning, because these guys, it's magic to me, right? Like the Fugazi Fugizzi of it. but
hocus pocus.
Yeah, but in my mind, as a kind of a mechanical guy, I'm thinking, okay, it's a bomber. There's been several bombers built, several bombers raced. That recipe should already be figured out.
And it pretty much is.
Right, but it's that minor details that, I mean, I've talked to Randy extensively about it, and he's going down to the gnat's ass, right? And because he's at that level. But it's intriguing to me to, you're trying to find that balance between high speed in the desert and what we call high speed in the rocks.
Yeah.
Randy pace in the rocks. Just trying to make that Swiss Army knife work.
Yeah. It was pretty cool because, like you brought up, for the most part, that 4800 shock package is dialed, and it has been for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we revalved the front. No, we revalved the rear. And so now we have an even new and improved, better shock package. And this is how we're going to get them made from now on. They're going to be exactly like this car.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it just works. So.
It works good, apparently.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Amber, but even though like the cars are so dialed, I think it at that point when you get the shocks so good to a specific car, as he's saying, it's like the cars is what it is. It's a bomber car and it has these shocks on it and it's going to work this way. But then it comes down to driver preference and how.
Oh yeah.
How
you drive it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how hard they hit what bumps and how they hit. It's just driving style at that point and Uribe is just really good at what he does.
Yeah, I think that was the first thing Uribe told us when we got there. He's like, all right, none of the drivers are hopping in any of the other drivers' cars. You guys don't get to drive each other's cars. Mm-hmm. If you're the driver, stay in your own car.
That makes
We are
sense.
tuning it for you.
It totally does make sense. I mean, just from the way you set up corners to how you charge a section of whoops to how you rock crawl too. Everything's going to be a little bit different each person.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. That's it's a science, man. Shock technology and tuning is a science, and you guys put the work in this year. You were down in the desert 3 times before KOH?
I haven't gone back to like add them up, but I want to say it was like 4 or 5 times.
Okay, all right.
So, I mean, not just at Johnson Valley. Oh no, yeah, we might have done 4 or 5 shock tuning appointments this year. Because I was really gung ho on getting Randy's 44 car shock tune really well because we've been trying to get that one done for a while now, and I was like, all right, let's do this. Yeah. So
and we live in a wheeler's paradise, so I mean we go out. I mean, it's few and far between times we can all make our schedules work, but I know both of us individually go out wheeling a lot. Like in our just backyards.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of seat time that happens. Not just dedicated to racing.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, got things dialed in on the lake bed. Freight Factory hooked you up with an awesome pit again this year.
Yeah. Big shout out to them. That's one thing that I don't ever want to go without again is a big old tent.
Right? I mean, you get spoiled, but I mean, how cool is that, Josh, there and they got their side of the tent. You guys got your side of the tent and, you're out of the elements. I mean, weather this year was incredible at the Hammers. It was some of the best I've experienced.
Oh, dude, that was the warmest race day morning I can remember ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just so crazy because the weather a week and a half before was polar opposite.
Sure.
Oh yeah, you got to snow wheel.
Yeah.
I got the snow wheel on chalk a little bit. That was super fun.
You were out there for 3 weeks, Tom, right?
Just about,
yeah.
I got down there on the 22nd. John Goodby is a good friend of mine, so I try and help him out when I can with the little bit that I can help. So.
Well, you tested the gap jump.
Did test the gap.
Let's talk about the gap jump. Yeah.
Let's talk about the gap jump.
The gap jump, R.A.P. The gap jump.
It's funny because we were just talking about this before we went on live.
Okay.
That to me, Amber is always cool as a cucumber,
and
she, even if she is nervous, that I wouldn't have known it until she said it. And the gap jump came, and I think it was qualifying.
Qualifying, yeah.
Well, let me back up one sec. So when we were building the gap jump, everybody knew about it. It was all over social media because I tested it.
You sent a video out of you sending it over the gap jump.
I know people like to cry and be like, oh, they knew before there's a gap jump. Well, sorry, if you can't hit a gap jump and you have 6 days notice, you're not going to learn how in 6 days. So
right.
just deal with it. But I hit it, and everybody saw it, and then I texted Amber, and I'm like, hey, how comfortable are you jumping that car? And I don't have my phone in front of my face, but from what I recall, she was like, well, I don't have much jumping experience. I was like, okay, well,
I came from Samurai.
Well,
I have jumped the Samurai.
yeah.
I've done a gap jump in the Samurai.
We built a 70
You
foot
have video
double.
of that?
Yes.
Oh,
And it's very large and very intimidating. So we're gonna send it. And there was a bypass around it. Anybody can do the bypass.
Right.
But in qualifying, we hit it, and we were coming into the corner, and she set up for it great. But I had to tell her still, I was like, hammer it.
Just
absolutely
bury the pedal.
I heard him getting nervous.
And it was scary. Like it's a big jump, especially going uphill. And not a 1,000,000 horsepower car. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
her car lights off and it goes, but it's not a 1,000 horsepower truck.
Yeah, it's not Chuck Crossland's supercharged
Exactly.
fucking 1,000 horsepower car.
And we cleared it great. And like I said, she was cool as a cucumber. I had no idea that there was any doubt in her mind. Then after we talked, and she was like, yeah, thanks for thanks for the encouragement. Or what'd you say?
Yeah,
You know?
like I literally heard you, like, just your voice get nervous enough, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I gotta go.
We got to make this happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get on that skinny pedal.
And a lot of those guys didn't like get out there and put feet on the ground or look at it. But when you stood at the lip of that thing, and then what did it for me was when we were testing it downhill, and you stood on the lip and like, okay, it was big. And then you pulled a tape on it. It's like, yeah, it's 70 foot, whatever.
Okay.
But you took 5-10 steps back and you completely lost a D6 dozer in the gap.
In the hole.
You're like,
yeah.
oh man, this is
This
big.
is legit.
Like,
Gonna be-
this is a big jump.
So John Goodby, for people that listen to the podcast, he builds the tracks at Prairie City,
correct.
runs the NorCal races at Prairie City, and he builds the short course at King of the Hammers for the last, I don't know how many years. So whose decision was it to build the gap jump? Or was this a dinner conversation or over the campfire over some whiskey, or how did this all come about? Do you know?
So from what I understand, in years past, when we've helped out with Goodby building this thing, we've all kind of gotten down there at the same time.
Mhm.
And this was a little bit different of a year. We all kind of had our hiccups with getting down to the Hammers this year. And I ended up, Chris Elrod is Goodby's right-hand man. He's
Yep.
the one who does the short course for all of Ultra 4 USA across the United States. And then he does the NorCal Rock Racing as well.
Yep.
And one of my best friends, Ryan Poor, also works for Goodby when he can, just to help out. And he pushes a lot of dirt there. So they're the ones that do the primary building of the track down there.
Okay.
Goodby and I both showed up late. I think I showed up on Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, and then Goodby didn't show up until Friday. He had some issues at home that he had to hang back for. What I understood was that, and hopefully Dave doesn't yell at me, but Dave told them over dinner.
He doesn't yell at anybody. What are you talking about, Tom?
Not this year.
Dave was like, well, it was a dream of mine to have a gap jump, an over-under gap jump. where
Okay.
You have the bypass underneath, and you have the jump over top.
Sure.
And that was said, and then the next day it was built. And
We can move dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called him, and they're like, hey, like the gap jump this. Dave was like, oh, that was a dream of mine. They're like, no, we built it. It's here. And
Come check it out.
Hold my beer. Watch this.
Okay. That's cool.
All right. So it's here. And it, and then it blew up on social media, and everyone's like, oh man, this is scary. I'm like,
Oh man.
It's the hardest one-day race of the year.
Yeah.
Come on. Buck up, buttercups.
I
Right?
feel bad for the folks that had
Oh,
had
man.
bad luck on those jumps with the mechanical issues. The ones that are claiming they didn't get to see it or didn't get to look at it or pre-run, I
Didn't know it
feel
was
much
there.
sympathy for. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could see the thing from space.
Yeah.
And by the way, there was a bypass too.
And there was a
Exactly,
bypass.
yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, it was. I get that. And we talked about this on the previous podcast. But Dwayne Garrettson that, augured
Yeah.
in or donkey kicked it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what all transpired there, but he's a veteran racer. So I don't know what happened there. And
It
that was
was-
unfortunate.
It was a tough year at KOH weather-wise. We got that snow, we got that rain.
Yeah.
and everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world and it was going to be muddy hammers, and it just wasn't.
No,
they haven't
it dries
had rain,
out so quick.
as I'm sure Amber can attest to as the driver. It was like driving on marbles out there.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it was so slick.
It's so slick. And so as that lip dried out, you're shaking the tires going up. So if you don't drive the corner like a race car driver, and you're just going to try and horsepower out of it,
Mm-hmm.
it blows the tires off.
Oh.
And you just don't have the traction.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I know Amber can talk about it too, but there were several times where her car really just gets up and goes when she puts her foot on the loud pedal. And it was like almost every time in 4-wheel drive, it was just, squirrely, right?
Yeah, it was squirrely. Like you said, driving on marbles. Oh.
Every time,
Interesting.
Every time she'd get on the gas to pass someone, or where we'd like get some, like the dust would clear and she'd go get on it, the car would just be out from under itself.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like riding a dirt bike in slick or not
There
slick
you go.
conditions. Like super dry stuff. It was super duper dry.
Very.
Well, yeah, and so it's from an agronomic standpoint, it's hydrophobic. The desert's so fucking dry, the rain hits the soil and it runs right off.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't get the lake bed gets muddy because that's like silt and stuff. But yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and then it was so dry and dusty on race day too. We were just eating dust clouds the whole time. It was just bad.
I don't know how you guys drive in that dust. I mean, I got to run lap 1, desert lap, following Josh and his bomber. And, we're only doing like 45, so it felt like a million miles an hour to me. But the dust in the lake bed sections, it was just horrendous. And I couldn't even see the front of my Can-Am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you do that at 80 miles an hour? You're just sending it and just, I don't know, Jesus, take the wheel.
You just look like, I would look as far ahead as I could. I'd try to stay out of the dust as much as I could, but I'd try to be as close to the next car in front of me as possible.
Okay.
And at some point, we got behind Dan Wyrick, and I just paced him forever because I was like, he's faster than me. He's not going to let me pass. So I'll just hang back here in his dust and try to see as much as I can and be in good shape, because otherwise I'm just going to catch up to somebody else and be in their dust. So
Right.
I remember that time too when she was saying that, and it was like, it was so dusty. It did me no good looking ahead. I knew Amber was looking ahead, so I was just looking at the GPS, and I probably said straight ahead.
Oh my gosh.
500 times. And I remember Amber's like, do you ever get tired of saying that? I'm like, well, kind of, but I can't see shit. So all I can do is look at the GPS screen and tell you it looks straight to me.
Yeah.
So, what's cool is with the Samurai, Amber driving, Tom as the wrong seat filler, the right seat there. And then you guys are in a fucking bomber. So you went from a Volkswagen Bug to an Indy car, essentially, for our listeners. The conversations have to be hilarious between the two of you. Like when you were running 60 horsepower to 460 horsepower, it's like, okay, you guys have a relationship. You worked it out in a Samurai, and now you got a freaking Ginsu knife that you're going through the desert in now. There's got to be some fun conversations around that. Like, when you say hit it before in a Samurai, your neck didn't even snap. But now you say hit it, Tom, and your freaking neck snapping back, and you're in a, yeah. What's that like?
Well, like I said earlier, we didn't have any time to BS, and that's like why I chose Tom as my co-driver this year, is because he was so good in the Samurai on lap 1, just giving me directions, and like no BS, no extra words were said. Like, this is exactly what I need to hear, and it worked. So
yeah, as she said, I mean, we like, I didn't know how it was going to go. Like I said, I didn't get in the car with her hardly at all until race day. And in the first, God, what is it to Heartbreak? How many miles is it to Heartbreak
like
Hill?
5.
Like,
Yeah.
Maybe 4 or 5.
What did we pass? 4 cars?
Yeah. We passed at least 4 cars.
4 or 5 cars by
Wow.
Heartbreak.
I was on kill.
As
kill mode.
Yeah, she was absolutely on kill. And like as I said, I came back after shock tuning, told my friends, hey, this is real deal this time. And then, but it didn't set into me. Like we ran qualifying and she was fast in qualifying, but it really didn't set in until we started doing that. And
Yeah.
as you guys said earlier in the podcast, I've raced before. I've raced myself. I've raced with a lot of people. And she was just picking people off. Like
Wow.
it was very, very impressive how fast we caught people. And I was like, holy shit, we passed someone. And it was like, holy shit, we passed someone. And then it was just boom, 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 picking cars off. And I'm like, dude, this is this is winning.
Yeah.
This is
you're on a pace.
And so we didn't have time. It was like me saying straight ahead, straight ahead, straight ahead, straight ahead over and over and over again to the point where it was probably annoying.
It wasn't. You're good.
But
you're looking at the nav.
Well, I was looking at the nav. I should have been looking at it better. We wouldn't have missed those fucking RCPs. But
we missed no VCPs, so that's cool.
True. We were picking off cars so fast, we did not have time to bullshit.
Wow.
It was just, she was on kill.
I totally let it get to my head too. Like those first 4 cars that I passed before Heartbreak, I was like, holy crap, like we're doing this thing. And it wasn't until we almost crashed that I was like, okay, I need to reel it back in and like not die.
Not die.
Yeah. And it was hard to reel her back in because like we both wanted to go on kill. And like I said, she was on kill, but it was like as soon as there was just the slightest hint of dust in the air, whoever that was had crosshairs on him.
Wow.
And we were killing him. And we were going to get him.
So I have to ask the question, Amber. What did Randy say to you before the race? Or like, what was his advice before you got in the car and helmeted up and belted in?
We didn't really have like a solid conversation about it, but I know he hopped in with me towards the end of our shock tuning session.
Uh-huh.
And he rode with me for a little bit, and I didn't even do nearly as much stuff as I did with Tom. And he's like, I created a monster.
Okay.
And I was,
that's cool.
And it took me a minute, and it didn't really register. I was like, wait, do you mean me or the car?
Me or the car?
And he's like, you. I'm
That's
like, oh,
cool.
snap.
That's a very good compliment.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I had the exact same experience and feeling with her. Like when everybody, I mean, it sucks to say, but people like she's a girl and she's the only girl in 48. Like, oh, like, yeah, you guys will do all right. You got a badass car. It's like, no, dude, we got a badass driver.
No,
the car's a weapon.
Exactly.
But she knows how to use that thing, and it was written on the wall as soon as I got in the car.
No, I knew that because
You called
I said it. Yeah, I called it. I was like, so we interviewed Amber early in our podcast, 5+ years ago, because there's some chick in a samurai, and I'm like, who the hell is this? And so I started digging into it. Long story short, right? We became fast friends in the family and all that stuff, and I love this shit. But when she crossed the line physically first, and all the family's there, right? And I go, what did I say? I said, you put her in a fucking bomber, she's going to win this thing. And here it is. It came to fruition. But super cool. The passion. We talk about the passion on this podcast, and she has the fire and the passion. And obviously, Randy gave her the opportunity last year to drive that car in the 40,
in 44 and unlimited,
and 4400 with the big dogs, right?
Yeah.
And it's what an opportunity and everything. And she created her luck and making all this happen. But it's just cool to watch the progress and, to go from a Suzuki Samurai to a Bomber during the race. And it was great because it validated what I already knew, put her in a capable vehicle. I mean, let's face it, a Suzuki Samurai, we can have fun with all this shit, but it is not going to win King of the Hammers. I don't care who the fuck's driving it. So to put her in, and honestly, right, it made you a better driver driving that Suzuki Samurai for 5 years. I've seen it before. I've seen people in our forward drive club more dollars and cents, and they have the baddest, the vehicle people would dream of to drive on a trail. They can't drive worth shit because they never learned how to drive something without lockers or without the capabilities. And I gotta, that helped you progress to this Bomber situation and what you dominated this year in the 4800. It was freaking awesome to watch.
Yeah, little tiny stepping stone, but a big leap.
Right? You went. Yeah, that's a good analogy. You went from like little steps to holy crap. But you were there. You had the skill set.
Yeah, I got the fundamentals down.
Right.
I pretty much maxed out that samurai. I did like more stuff in that samurai that it's not supposed to do.
No, it shouldn't have done what it did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know if we could reset history a little bit, having it finish within time at Hammers would have been everybody's freaking wet dream. But you were close. You were super close. You proved it. And for that car to last 5 years at Hammers is amazing.
Yeah, and then also wreck wheeling it and all the times that I've.
I was going to say it doesn't
it.
sit idle during the year. It's not one race a year. It's getting beat up.
Yeah, this is what we love to do, and I've always told Randy that's why I think he's the best at it, because we love to do this and we go out and do it. Like we spend more time just wheeling than pretty much anyone I know. So
yeah, a lot of
they're always out wheeling.
Yeah.
And I had never, I didn't really like put much thought to it, but I had never rock crawled with Amber in my life.
Really?
Until race day.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I met you at your birthday trip and we did knuckle, but I think you were probably in front of us the whole time.
We've rock crawled together, but I've never ridden in a car with her in the rocks.
Right.
Because I did the samurai with her in the desert only.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Her brother Stuart hopped in for the rocks.
Sure.
So I didn't put much thought to it until race day, and I was like, shit, I've never even ridden with her on the rocks. And again, not just tooting her horn that she's great because we did so well, but like that was the smoothest like on my body in the rocks that I've ever been a part of.
Oh, I bet.
She knows rock crawling, and that car is a weapon in the rocks, and it was very nice and comfortable.
Oh yeah. I think my neck only hurt for like 2 days after the race, and that was like a record.
We drove Jack flawlessly. Like,
yeah,
that was super impressive to me. I mean, we're gonna have to backtrack to our cartwheel incident because that happened on the first lap. But Jack and the rocks, like I remember my buddy Jeremy Dickinson, who co-drives for Von Gittin, was up in Jack, and I saw him on the hill, and he was watching all of us go through, and I just remember seeing him up there, and she drove every line on Jack, like
wow.
with hardly any stop or even slow down at all, and just boom, boom, boom,
no reverses.
And then Jeremy after the race was like, "Dude, what motor's in that car?" And I was like, "I think it's like an LT1 or something." He's like, "Is it supercharged or is it?"
Yeah,
is
no.
It,
just stop.
No.
I was like, "No, it's NA," and he's like, "Man, it comes alive."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, it hits." And he's
Yeah.
like, "That was cool to watch you guys go through Jack."
That's cool.
Well, I knew Jack, and we'd pre-run it before, and like I was Jack and idle issues. It's like you can't really rock crawl it because if you stop, like you're not getting going again. So
Lose
you just
your
have
momentum.
to charge the hill and go for it. So,
Mm.
and I told Randy before the race, I was like, I'm going to get to Jack first, so I don't have to pass everybody. But
Yeah.
we were in the lead, and then we busted that tire, and then I had to pass everybody back.
We would have been to Jack first. We didn't bust that tire, but
Yeah.
So many drivers lack that. Like, not that the people we don't race against aren't great. There are a lot of amazing drivers in the 4800 class, but I think so many people through Ultra 4 all the way to rock bouncing lack the comprehension of forward momentum. Of that, like,
right.
Oh, well, I have 9 million horsepower. I'm just going to gas it. Like, no, you're going to dig holes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You auger in.
Keeping that
Yeah.
forward momentum through the rocks is so important.
Yeah.
Momentum is
Yeah.
traction. That's kind of what I say.
Wheeling
And I
101.
learned that a lot with the
Momentum.
Samurai.
Momentum
totally
is
is.
Yeah.
And once you lose that momentum, you're going to dig down more than you're going to go forward unless you get real lucky and you have great traction. It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we witnessed that in those sand climbs and stuff, and
Yeah.
some of the new virgin sections of the mysterious lap 3 for the 4400. But yeah, it is. It's momentum is key.
Well, I think Emerson, looking at Emerson, momentum was important.
Oh yeah, Emerson's a really good example of that, actually.
Yeah.
Emerson Ridge.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jason, I was watching it on the live feed, and I'm like, man, these cars are all getting wadded up and having problems. That doesn't look that bad. And Jason's like, no, dude, that's a gnarly hill. And
I ran that in the Can-Am, and I'm like, holy fuck! This is you stay on that throttle. You want to keep your momentum up that hill, and the front wheels were off the ground, and I'm, it's like, damn, this is some shit right here.
And that's a cool section of the race course. I think.
Yeah.
Amber, did we follow Dan Wyrick across the Emerson lake bed?
No, we had passed him by then. I think we passed him probably halfway between where it turns off into the back there.
Didn't we go with someone? Because there's that lake bed that we come across when we were making like that big sweeping right hand corner. And then you kind of got back into the desert a little bit and you came around that knob and then you came across Emerson.
Yeah.
Weren't we with someone there?
I feel like we were. I know we passed a Jeep at that point.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but there's just some moments in racing out there that feel like a video game to me. And that was one of them.
Oh yeah, no, totally. We came across, we started up Emerson Ridge at the very bottom and we were behind someone and I had to get out in the weeds and pass them.
That's right, because there was a metal post there.
Oh yeah.
At this point on lap 1, and then lap 2 it was mowed down.
Yeah.
Oh geez.
One of the military base signs.
Watch the post, and we missed it. And then when we came back, it was mowed over. But there's just like, I don't know, it just like brings me back to like being a little kid, like playing video games. There's some things that just look like that, and coming across those lake beds in dust that is unimaginable.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like talcum powder.
And it was the coolest thing because with the way the wind direction was, I'm moving my hands, but you can't see me. But if you were just passenger of whatever car you were chasing across the lake bed and the wind was pushing the dust away from you, it was just like a brown wall of dirt, and you could not see anything. And then it was clear as day ahead of you, and you look left, and it's just blackout.
Wow.
And those are just the cool moments that you get to see out there that are.
And you're just trying to like watch the GPS, like straight ahead.
Straight ahead.
Make this happen.
Yeah. God. And that was just before, Emerson was just after, a little ways after our cartwheel.
Yeah, perfect, because that's a great segue, Tom. You're a good podcaster here for your first podcast, because I was just going to bring that up. So let's talk about this little incident.
So if you want to watch the video, it's on my Instagram and all over the rest of the internet.
Dude, the still photos are insane.
I know. I've got to repost the actual like in order pictures that that photographer got, and it explains so much more than just watching the GoPro footage from inside the cab.
Yeah, you're watching the in. I watched the in car, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look that bad. Obviously you rolled at speed, but then you look at the still photos, and it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's gnarly, and so we came up on this cross grain about race mile 48-ish. You figure about 48?
Yeah, I think that's where it was.
It's
when you started to make the turn, like, feels like you're going straight forever.
Yeah.
All the way to like the back 40, and then you kind of start to make a turn around towards the pole line, and there's just some nasty cross grain in there.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 big, heavy rollers. And I hit the first one, and it knocked the rear end up, and then hit the second one, and that sent us over the nose. And you can tell by the pictures, like, it went over the nose, and I had the driver's tire turned just enough, and it pivoted on the front driver tire. And then it smacked the spare on the ground when it finally landed. And you can see that there's another GoPro video that hasn't been posted yet of a rear-facing camera, and you can see the spare tire smack the ground.
Yeah.
And then I guess we ended up on 4, but it cocked up to the driver's side.
Yeah, driver's side was leaning towards your side.
Yeah, and then you said drive it, and I heard driver.
Yeah,
That's why I turned driver into it.
I'm glad you
because man,
He's showing the video.
I mean, obviously, I felt it. We were in the car, but like, it was. I don't know about you, but when it did, it did what you said. You returned a little bit driver, and it caught it and just kind of cartwheeled us up over. But we ended up like flying backwards.
Yeah, it bucked us up.
But like still forward momentum, but going the wrong way.
Yeah, we were turned facing backwards on a race course when we landed.
And that's when it
Wrong way.
shit whipped my
Wrong
head.
way.
And you can see it in the GoPro. Like it does one hard hit and it rung my bell.
Wow.
I didn't tell her, but
Until later.
Landed backwards, going forwards. It rung my bell pretty good. And then it started to tip over to her side. And it was just instinct. I was like, drive it. Otherwise, I think we were going to probably tip over.
Yeah, I was literally mentally preparing to like undo my harness, hop out, and start rolling the thing back over.
Yeah.
Barrel roll the thing, huh?
So I was just like, drive it. And she was just with it. I don't know how the car stayed running through that, but she was perfectly with it, hammered the gas, turned driver, and we drove out of it. And it was... Then shortly later, we did the knuckles, and it was smooth.
Nailed it.
Ta-da!
Meant to do that. Meant to do it.
Do that, Ritzy.
I've probably watched that video 100 times now, just over and over and over again, and it didn't really click to me how violent the backwards one was until if you're listening and you've raced or you've put a helmet on, you know that our helmets have clips on the visors.
Yep.
And it hit so hard that Amber's visor flew up.
Oh my
And
God.
it was closed and then went full open.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I saw
kicked
that
a bunch of dust in my face.
after like
Holy
50 times
crap.
watching it. I was like, damn, that hit hard. Like to rip her visor open. Mine was cocked, and I don't know if hers was, but I had mine just barely clipped. And it flung mine open too. But then when it hit backwards and hers went open and both of our heads hit the seat, I was like, damn, that hit hard.
Yeah. Yeah, we thought for sure we had like ripped off the antenna and had a flat tire, and we thought the spare would be flat for sure, but like, no.
We were just talking about that because she, after our knuckles and we were cruising along again, the car felt good. There were no weird vibrations. I tried to radio in to pit. And I tried a couple times and I couldn't get in. So I pulled my phone out of the door bag and I texted our crew chief. And I was like, hey,
Nick Bailey.
Yeah, Nick. So I texted Nick, and I was like, hey, we cartwheeled at speed. I'm assuming we cleared the roof off and and it landed really hard on the back. So I'm going to say the spare's probably fucked.
Yeah.
For lack of better words. Like on a bomber, the spare hangs way off the back. And
right.
I knew it hit the back, so I just was kind of thinking the worst. And then, right, Amber, we came in, and they're like, kind of like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, literally, they're like, "What did you do?" Huh?
So the car was clean.
Yeah, I don't think anyone actually believed that we rolled until like the video came out.
Yeah, like we did some stuff.
We did some stuff.
And so, like, dude, there's not even a scratch on it.
That is crazy. Yeah, I heard that same story from Nick, and I was like, holy crap. And then nothing was wrong with the car. How cool is that?
And yeah, and like I said earlier, after that, I was like, all right, name of the game is Don't Kill Tom. Slow the heck down.
So that's what I was going to ask. It's like, did that kind of like a reality check? Like, holy shit.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I had a moment where I was like, "Oh yeah, this stuff's dangerous."
This is dangerous. Danger.
And like, I mean, I thought it was rad. Like, I mean,
you live on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
you're an adrenaline junkie. Let's face it. You're a firefighter.
I have a patch on my fire suit that says, "I don't believe in anything. I'm here for the violence."
Wow. Okay, there you go. Like, that pretty much sums it up.
It was rad.
I think
I'm here for the violence.
Afterwards, you were like, "Yeah, crashing is great." What did you say? You said something along the lines of crashing is fun as long as you don't mess anything up.
Yeah,
I mean
that was fun. Like we did it
was pretty rad.
Say they did a somersault in a race
and
car.
kept going.
Just kept going like it was nothing. Like
and then
sick.
like finish physical first.
So is there like a way to, I mean, have you measured the car since it's been back in the shop to see if it's like still square, or is that even a real thing? Or?
Oh no, yeah, that's a totally valid point. And it's, I mean, the way we hit and the way we came in, and you can't tell anything's wrong with the car just by looking at it. So it's straight, and everything that I would think might have been affected by something like that is fine.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like I said, we didn't even pop that tire. So
That's what I was going to say.
crazy.
It's amazing. Like, I mean, I've done a similar roll on the short course where you bike up to one side and then whatever side you're turned to digs in. And the last time I did that, it caught the driver front and it hyperextended the steering, which then breaks the axle shafts and you pirouette off into the infield. And the fact that it didn't rip the wheel out of her hand and didn't rip the corner off, and then it landed so hard on the driver rear and didn't blow the tire or wheel, like, shout out to BFG and Trail Ready. That's amazing.
For real.
Like, even watching the video and then looking at the pictures, it is incredible that it didn't rip that rear corner off.
Yeah, I mean, we were going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like, what, 62 or 63 on the GPS?
Well, if you watch the video, I can zoom in on my phone at least. You can see on the ECU Masters it says 60. Solid 60 when we hit that cross grain.
Wow.
And they were big. And then I remember because we came through the next lap because you had to basically do all.
You got to do that all over again.
Yeah.
Too. And we checked for that. Obviously,
I was going to say, are you brake checking at that point?
I was a little shell shocked.
It's like brake, slow
Trauma.
There's even worse ones where I was like, for those, I think I was like, these are big. Like, let's slow up a little bit. We didn't have time. The next ones, I'm like, danger.
Ranger danger. Stranger danger.
Very big.
Yeah. I slowed down to 45 for this for lap 2, and I think it still kicked up pretty hard, but it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah,
wow.
Remember after those, like you go a little bit further and there were those huge ones, like those like straight off drop offs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but you're finally slowed down by then.
Yeah, they were like diagonal to the trail.
Yeah.
And like just big, like probably 3-4 foot walls. I was like, oh, these are gonna kill us.
Oh my gosh.
Name of the game, don't kill Tom.
I don't want to kill my passenger.
But did you die?
Yes.
So what's these are great stories. This is the stuff behind the scenes that we don't see as, race enthusiast viewers of the watching the live feed. And the live feed was every year it keeps getting better, the in-car footage and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so you guys are motoring through on your second lap, and you avoided death. You didn't die. You didn't die. You're still alive. Car's still alive. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. So in the Samurai, you got a lot of time to have conversations like, how's the kids? What's going on? All this stuff. What was it like this year in a Bomber?
It was like, we didn't say anything. We had exactly one conversation, and it wasn't even until we were heading back into like the finish line. Okay. After we had passed Cody and we were in physical first place, we were like kind of finally relaxed a little bit and bullshitted for about 10 minutes tops.
Yeah, I think we were like just coming around that backside through the lake bed there. What lake bed is that? It's Melville.
Yeah. And then I don't even remember how the conversation came up, but you were like, yeah, I'm looking at this girl and her name is Carly, and it'd be super cool if you shouted me out on the podium.
Yeah. Oh, you primed it.
No, so we were talking about, we were coming through Melville and we were talking about life and everything, and the girl I was talking to came up and Amber's like, she was like, what's her name? I was like, her name's Carly. She's like, I'm going to shout her out on the thing. I was like,
totally.
Okay.
That's freaking awesome.
I was just so thankful for you, dude. You killed it so hard.
I had the thought in my head. I was like, maybe I should tell her not to. Like, maybe
don't do this.
Just let it ride. She's going to say something funny. This is going to be funny.
That's a good wingman, bro.
She came out on her own, but that was when we started to shoot the shit and kind of just relax a little bit. And we were singing songs.
What songs were you singing?
Sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
Ba, ba, ba. Good times ever felt
We were
so
singing
good.
Sweet Caroline.
This is the future of Ultra 4, getting the in-car cams, in-car audio of the shit that goes down in these cars, because it is a car crash. It is crazy, and your mind wanders, and you got to keep some sanity. And I love hearing these insights of what actually goes on between driver and co-driver at these races.
It was super fun. The whole race was super fun. You know, it was just cool. It kind of came to life right there at the end when
Yeah.
So when did you know you were like, this shit's going down? We're like fucking leading this race. We've dominated. We've done well. All this stuff's coming together. And, you know, the mental aspect of any sport is huge. And, you know, you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm leading 4,800 King of the Hammers. You got to keep your head in the game. You can't over celebrate before you're across the finish line. But like, what's going on in your head, Amber?
So I started 30th, right?
Right.
And we didn't count how many cars we picked off. And I figured when we crashed, I thought that we had lost a couple positions. So I was like, all right, we're probably okay. And I think we were coming into the first remote pit stop, and we were able to radio the pit, and we were like, hey, you know what our standings are? And they radioed back, and they were like, 6th. And I was like, wait, you mean like 16th? And they're like, no, like 6. And Tom's like one after
2, 3,
5.
4, 5, 6.
And I was like, what?
Was that when we were coming through, like down into like through Aftershock and then into?
Yeah. It was like we were dropping that valley that you go through right before the pit. It's like into the pit valley.
Yeah.
Because we had decent radio comms with them at that point. Because we found out later that our comms, we could call out and they could hear us, but we couldn't hear them very well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was spotty, and I was like, "You mean 16th, right?" They're like, "No, 6th."
And
Wow.
I remember it. I remember it for me. I remember hearing that traffic, and then I remember coming down. We had done all of that and came through pit and did all that jazz, and then we came. We were coming like up to Chocolate and down Chocolate and into Her Problem and Idle Issues. Is it Her Problem first?
Idle Issues up, and then Her Problem down, and then LaserNet Alley is that new one that they put in. Well,
right.
it's
that was
not new,
cool
it's just
section
rocks.
of the course.
That was awesome.
Keeping everybody in the rocks.
Yeah. We were coming through there, and I remember we were starting to talk on the radio, and I apologized to whoever I was talking to on the radio because I could sense the frustration in my own voice, because like I was asking over and over for position, and I know they probably couldn't hear me, and I was just getting frustrated because I wanted to know where we were.
Yeah.
To know what to.
Are we pushing, or are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing?
And then it was, we went all that, and she ran Jack like a crazy person and went straight through it. But it really set in for me in the highways.
Wow.
We got stuck on
1920.
We got stuck on 19.
Yeah.
And we were in a spot where she was wedged up with the steering ram against a rock, like almost detrimental if it wasn't just perfectly into the ram body, and if it was into the cylinder itself,
right,
we would have been screwed. And this is where I made my first mistake. I clicked the winch out just out of habit because I was going to pull cable, and then I took half a second to look at it, and I was like, oh, winching isn't possible here. And I never clicked it back into engaged. So I pulled like 6 inches out and then never clicked it back into engaged from free spool. Oops. And then I yanked the jack off the car, and I started jacking just random corners of the car, trying to get her some traction to get back off this thing. And because we were just hard up against a rock. And for a while there, I was just doing that, and we were just alone. And then I see Cody coming up, and then and then it really set in, and I was just
giddy up,
foaming at the mouth.
And the jack wouldn't work.
And
No!
Oh my
God, I was so
gosh.
frustrated.
What happened?
We race prep the crap out of that thing so many times, and it seems like they're good for one use. And me and Stuart used it because I flopped it while we were pre-running, and we had to flop it back over ourselves, and that was like the one use that we got out of it that it actually
The
worked.
high lift jack, right?
High lift jack, yeah.
And I remember we to backtrack a little bit, we had left pit 2 and we entered into pit 2, I believe, ahead of Cody Young. And then we exited pit 2 behind him. He pitted faster than us.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that was 1-2. And I remember them telling us that on the radio. And in my head, I didn't fully believe it. I was like, I don't know if that's right. But I was like, still, okay, we're battling for first, second. This is pretty insane. So when we passed Cody and got into the highways and got stuck, I'm like a little frantic. And I start picking the corners of the car, and then I finally started getting something that was going to work, and it was on the passenger side, like right under my door bar.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to get the jack to work. I remember, like, I wasn't upset with Amber at all. I was upset with the jack, but I was like, Amber, this thing is fucked. Like, this jack is fucked. And she's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am just beating this thing on the ground. And at one point, I was just so tired and frustrated. I just screamed at the jack. I was so frustrated with the jack and just beating it on the ground. And I finally got it to work again. And I got the passenger side of the car up enough. And then I was just like, drive over the jack. I don't care what you do. Just back up and drive over the jack. And she ran over the jack and got us out of that spot. And that was how we got out of that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That took some brain power and muscle. That's why I'm like, hey, Carly, this guy's a stud. Like, you literally, like, you muscled some stuff that day, dude, between the jack and, like, changing the spare tire, because I was dead when we changed the spare tire, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
We forgot to ask for waters when we came through Maine, so I was completely dehydrated.
Oh, you were dry.
And I hadn't had any snacks yet. And so, like, we get out of the car, and I'm trying to muscle the friggin' lug nuts off or anything to help, and I'm just like fading. I'm like, Tom, help!
No. Oh no!
That's definitely something I've realized. I personally don't notice how fatigued I am until I have to get out of the car. If I'm fatigued in the car, I'm like, okay, whatever. I can run on no food, no water.
Yeah.
But then you get out and you start doing other stuff, and you're like, man, I'm whooped.
Yeah. And then you don't have your pumper attached anymore, and you're just sweating because it's like 70 degrees that
That's
day.
brutal.
And
yes.
we were breaking the tire down, and I knew that this was our first and only flat of the race. But it was impacted on, and on the Bombers, they have that spare tire that is also the lug wrench.
Yep.
It doesn't have a whole lot of leverage on it, and I'm cranking on this thing, and it's like it was a struggle for me to get the lug nuts off. So I ended up just putting them on there, or putting the lug wrench on where it was tight, and just bashing it with a rock.
Wow.
To break the lugs,
shit.
to break the lugs loose. So I bashed everyone with a rock to break them loose, and then just spun them off.
Oh my god!
As quick as I could.
I think you got 5 off, and I got 1 off.
Yeah.
I was like,
you need to go to Chris Ray's seminar of all your goo packs and stuff glued to the ceiling of the car.
Oh no! Like I had snacks taped to the roof, but we hadn't busted into them yet. And after that, I was like, "Let's go."
You were having too much fun.
I think I started feeding you a power bar or something after that.
Yeah. Well, I kept waiting until we found a clear spot, because like we came into Laser Nut Alley, and friggin' everybody that was in front of us was right there. So I was back on kill mode in the rocks and just started picking people off. And then what were we doing? We came down Wrecking Ball, and we were
because we were right there with Woody and Brent and Cody. That's cool. That was the first time I laughed during the race. Was once we went up through Chocolate and up through Idle, Woody was coming down her problem, and Woody got hung up on his belly, and we were behind him. And to speak to the whole race, because there was some talk after the race of this and that and the other thing, and Amber is a very aggressive driver in the desert, and she's very fast, but she is a kind person. I am not. I am like, I'm going to tell you to hit someone or you're going to be moved out of the way. So she's up behind Woody and he's bellied out and I'm like, hit him, like just bump him off this thing and we're going to get him forward so we can go forward. And so she rammed Woody off this thing and he went, and then he went up and he got traction, got up and around. And then he dropped off this ledge and just stabbed the brakes and his car nose pogoed on the front tires. I don't know why. It was just so funny to me. Like, he just bounced down this thing well after we pushed him, but he just was like, I know as a driver, he was like in panic.
Like what the fuck?
Like, oh, fuck.
I remember hearing you laugh, and I didn't see what Woody did, but I was like, oh, that must have been cool.
It like pogoed off the front on the tires, and it just, the way it bounced, I was like, oh dude, I know that sucked. But
all the things that happen out there on the race course that we don't see or hear about.
So we were
listen to this podcast.
All the stories. We had all these guys stacked in front of us, and like I said, I went back on kill mode and picked them off after we were all kind of congested in Laser Nut Alley, and I was in the back of the pack by then. So then by the time we got, because after that, we ran, what's that one that drops in a wrecking ball?
Winner's Choice.
Winner's Choice, yeah. We ran through Winner's Choice, and I think we picked off 2, and then we ran the bottom of Wrecking Ball and got past Cody, and that was the first RCP that we missed, and that was
where I made my first mistake.
It was my mistake too, because like this is a thing that Randy tells me all the time. Like wheeling these trails so much, you get to know the lines that you take, and that was the line we take when we wheel. So that's why I took that one, and I saw Cody take the low line where the RCP was, and I was like, I wonder why I did that.
I didn't even, and I it's my job to look at the GPS and know where those are. So I feel really bad that we did miss those. It's just.
Hey, it's our first time
racing.
That car and her made it so easy in the rocks. Like it was easier to just watch what she was doing and maybe call out rocks. And for me, the spots where we missed RCPs are really frustrating because I feel like they were equally as difficult spots. Like I don't feel like we ever ran like a shelf
an easier line
in Spooners. In Spooners, I think we did, but
we just ran a line that was advantageous to where our race was going to maybe get around someone. And in that instance in Wrecking Ball, Woody and Brent, I believe at the same time had flat tires. And you could go left or right there, as Amber said. And they all went left because there was an RCP there.
Okay.
I didn't even look at it. But right was just as long and just as gnarly.
Yeah.
And so it's frustrating that we missed one there.
Damn it.
But then we were ahead of everybody, and we were like, all right, we are literally in the top 3 right now, and I'm running with these guys up my butt. And so we come down to the bottom of Wrecking Ball, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to make it to Jack first. And I blew the freaking tire, dude. Bottom of Wrecking Ball with everybody right behind me.
We did blow the tire. I remember she hit it, and I saw it because it was a pretty good blowout. I don't know. I watched the live feed after I was home, and we hit a shelf rock on the side, but it like blew air out.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and she was like, I was like, hey, we got a flat. And she's like, well, like how bad? I was like, bad. Like, pretty bad.
Yeah.
All the air's gone out of the tire.
And
I saw it blow too, and I was like, no, I must be running on a liner. I can keep going. We'll change it at the top of Jack. No.
What was crazy to me, Amber, was I didn't watch the live feed until like a week after we got home.
Yeah.
It's crazy how far ahead Cameron and Brian Wood were.
Dude, if they had no issues, they had it in the bag.
They were on a heater.
Yeah.
Like they got into Jack, and God, they had to have been 15 minutes ahead. Like,
right?
It was crazy how
they were
long
gone.
that they were screwed off in Jack with the transmission problems they were having before anyone got there.
Yeah.
Like that was wild to me. I had no idea that that's how the race went ahead of us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Until I watched that, it was crazy to me.
Yeah. So kudos to them. Cameron had it in the bag.
No, they were.
If that hadn't happened,
it was just. And then watching Cody come through Jack before us, and the the beat down he gave on that car getting through Jack was very impressive too.
Nice. Yeah, I've watched live feed too, but I guess I didn't pay too much attention.
There's one thing where Cody comes through Jack and he's on the second ledges, like he's through the gatekeeper and he's on the second one, and someone's co-driver's out and he sprays the guy like head to toe.
Oh
with
yeah,
dirt, just full roost.
Oh wow.
yeah, that must have sucked.
It was, and then it was pretty cool though to watch us go through it. Like you went through pretty effortlessly.
Yeah, and then got stuck at the top on a rock.
Yeah.
Had to back up and reposition like 3 or 4 times, but I was like, we're in first.
Yeah.
Or second. I guess we were in second at that point.
That's cool.
So how many tires did you lose? 2?
No, just the one.
Just the one.
Yeah, just the one.
And then you had to use the jack a little bit to kind of get the car lifted up to get traction again. Is there any point in time where you pulled cable in the race?
I think we did end up winching. We got stuck some other time. Maybe that was in Check Me Out.
It was.
That-
You drove Check Me Out.
Maybe it was in one of the highways.
It was on the highways is when I said I made that mistake with the winch.
Yeah, and then we caught it immediately after. We got stuck again almost immediately after, and found out the winch line had wrapped around the axle.
Is that when it was?
Yeah.
It was because we didn't get stuck in outer limits or spinners,
No, we didn't.
and so it must because
It must have just been
just after.
Yeah, it was just after. So it had to have been in one of the highways.
It was very close to race ending, or I mean, not maybe not race ending, but
Yeah, if I hadn't gotten stuck, it probably would have wrapped around the axle and taken out a brake line and taken.
yeah, and
That would've been the end of the day.
It was wrapped.
That would've been
It was
bad.
wrapped twice around the axle when I found it.
Wow.
And that was completely my bad. I just forgot to click it into. I was in fix this mode and get the car unstuck mode,
Or fuck
and
this
I just
jack
forgot
mode.
to click it back into engaged, and it wrapped around.
Yeah,
So,
but like it was like someone was definitely watching over us that day because we got stuck right after and had to use the winch. We're like, oh, this could have really messed us up.
Wow.
your husband just got here, and
Yeah,
he's
Randy
staring at
motherfucking
me.
Slawson is in the house right
Oh,
now.
hey,
He just wandered in like a stray dog.
oh boy.
He doesn't want Mike or anything. He's just here for the food, I think.
Emotional support.
Yeah, he's shaking his head. Oh my gosh. Oh, so cool. All right. So these are great stories. I love the behind the scenes in-car stuff that we don't see on the live feed.
No.
So coming in when you knew you were physical first, and you're just are you in preserve mode? Are you like, let's just get across the line? Or are you like, no, we're just gonna still just fucking kill it?
Oh, dude,
Coming into Hammertown.
coming into Hammertown, I was in preserve mode because they told me I had 5 minutes corrected time on Cody,
Okay.
and that's what I was running on. And I was
Yeah.
at that point, I was like, well, we've got it in the bag. I don't need to
kill a
beat
tire.
anyone. Don't kill a tire. Don't kill a car. Don't kill Tom.
Don't kill Tom.
Tom's number 3.
Tom's pretty resilient, is what I'm gathering from all this.
Right.
But yeah.
Dude. And we had enough time to sing Sweet Caroline coming down Resolution.
Well, that's just blowing
That
off
was
steam.
rad. Like that was one of the coolest.
Who
moments of
started
racing
that?
ever.
Who started that? Was that you, Tom, or
I don't even remember.
I don't even remember.
Oh.
It just kind of happened.
Sweet Caroline?
It was probably something like we were just stoked on what was happening, and we are like, the
Yeah.
time never felt so good. So good. So good.
It's a
We
stress
were
reliever.
coming down resolution.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And then we bypassed backdoor because Nick came over the radio and he's like, Randy says bypass backdoor. And I was like,
Yeah.
we talked about this already.
Yeah.
I'm going to. And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
just do it.
Okay.
So yeah, after just all that like deserty stuff coming back into Maine was just preserve the car, take it easy. Got no one to impress right now.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
So what's it like when you come over and you see Hammertown proper and you're coming into the short course? What's going on in your head?
And it's still daylight.
And it's still daylighted.
And it's 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's freaking early.
Oh my gosh. Well, so we get out of the bottom of the wash for backdoor and into the short course, and Tom starts losing his crap. He's like, "We just won King of the Hammers." I was like, "Oh!"
And now we're going to Disneyland.
We're going to Disneyland.
And I was like, wait, not yet.
We're not there yet.
I just kept holding my breath. Like, it was the exact same feeling as the first time I crossed the finish line with my Samurai in 23.
You did the whole course.
Yeah, I did the whole course, and I just held my breath the whole time. Like, me and Stuart would pick off rock trail after rock trail, and it was the same exact feeling. Like, we were picking them off, and we were getting closer and closer to the end, and it's just like, hold your breath, hold your breath, hold your breath. And I kept doing that until they're like, second place. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what was it like? I mean, physically finishing first. And I mean, I rushed over to the, after you passed the finish line there and you came around the K-rail and then right in front of the monster stage there before you came up on the, main stage. I mean, that was just electric. That was super freaking cool.
gosh, I know. Yeah, it's Dave came up and said hi.
Dave
before we
came
got
out.
up on stage, and like earlier in the week, I had ran into him at his compound, and I gave him a big old hug, and I was like, Dave, qualifying was the best 4 minutes of my life. That course is awesome. And he's like, you're not being sarcastic. I was like, no, I loved it.
Wow.
And he's like, you're a rock
It was
star.
fun.
Yeah, that was a great qualifying course.
Yes.
I thought so.
Yeah, it was literally the best 4 minutes of my life. That was so much fun. But so
awesome.
at the finish line, I was like, Dave, you still think I'm a rock star? And he's like, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I felt so cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was.
And then I totally froze up when Pam was asking me a bunch of questions. She's like, in one word, how do you feel right now? And I was like,
Yeah.
like a winner?
You did great on stage. It was cool. So from a spectator standpoint, your whole family, all of us were there at the fire pit, and then watching you the final half an hour, 15 minutes of the race, and then here you are coming into the short course, and you finish physically first
And did a
come
little
in and then-
donut through the start finish line because that's what Randy did in
Exactly.
21.
Exactly. And then, they escort you up on stage. I mean, it was super freaking cool from our standpoint. And I can only imagine, what was going on in your mind and stuff. But you did very well on the stage presence there. And then the shout out to Tom's new girlfriend here, apparently.
Yes.
Carly.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, there you go. That was
Bonus
the
points.
best endorsement ever.
It worked. It worked out pretty well.
Well, like I said, he freaking put in the work, dude. Like, if I didn't have his muscles helping me out that day, I would have died.
Well, I mean, especially going back to the tire changing situation. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
that's a deal breaker right there. If you can't change a tire, you're dead in the water.
And I knew I couldn't lift that 37 by myself. And I looked over and Tom already had it done. And I was like, oh, thank God I don't even have to help with it.
Fuck, I had to change a tire on the side of I-5 one time on my trailer, and I almost died. And it's like,
And you weren't under race scrutiny.
and I wasn't under, but I could have gotten hit by a big rig. That would have sucked.
Yeah, we almost got hit by a drone. Does that count?
Yeah, absolutely, it counts.
That was a great race for me. But besides the shout out and all that, she barely had me get out of the car. Like, I mean, I had to get out a couple times to winch and change tire, but that was a very mellow co-driver thing.
Wow.
I feel like
Oh, good.
So good.
Yay!
I mean,
You'll be my co-driver again.
The highways, the high lift jack tested my patience, but that's about it.
Yeah, me too. We vibed right there. I totally felt your pain.
Wow.
Well, the Highland Jacks are
I was.
they're going to kill you or going
frustrated
to
with
save
that
your day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see the progression as you guys, teammates, driver, co-driver in a Samurai and then in a Bomber and dominate. I mean, that's pretty cool. Your talents, displayed themselves out there that day, and to cross that stage and afterwards, you came off the stage, and of course, everything's got to be, evaluated and all that stuff. But all the people that came up and the Jesse Combs freaking Rockin' the Dots came out. That was super freaking cool. And all the scholarship winners, right? Is that who that was, Amber? They came up to your car?
Yeah, it was a couple of the JCF board members, and they had a bunch of scholarship winners out there with them too. So
I mean, what a cool moment, right? I
Yeah.
mean that's
we had a bunch of girls in polka dots.
Yeah,
Rocking the dots.
Yeah.
Rocking the Dots, and that was super cool to witness. They were
Super
fired
rad.
up.
Super rad.
Yeah, they were fired up, and it's like, their horse won the race, so to speak, and super super cool to see that.
It was.
And
It
of
was-
course, the
it was
family,
super
and
rad.
yeah, it was, and then the official came over and let air out of the tire to make sure you weren't doing any silly
Fireballing.
stuff behind the scenes, tire balls or anything. And nope, passed that test. So
It was cool. Like all the kiddos that came up to with like all the Jesse stuff, like the polka dots and everything. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had our friend Matt and Stephanie's two girls sit in the car with me, and my niece Savannah was in the middle.
Savannah,
And so it was a 4-seat bomber at that point.
It was a 4-seat bomber. I didn't
And
know they made 4-seat bombers. But
It's the very
apparently.
first one.
Randy's looking at me.
I remember the first time I raced KOH in 2016 in my own car. We were lined up to race, and Jessie came by, and she said, "Hey, good luck, Tom." And I was like, "Hey, thanks." And then I turned to my buddy, I was like, "Holy shit, dude, she knows my name."
She knows my name.
It was pretty.
That's
fucking
cool.
Yeah.
It is cool. I mean, and that's the whole thing that I really enjoy about, our sport. It's all a bunch of great freaking people, and there's a lot of cool fucking people that have done some cool shit in our sport. And, we all share the same passion, and whatever the level is, from wreck wheeler to racer going 100 miles an hour across the desert, which I don't want to do. But, it's just cool, the camaraderie that's on that lake bed, and you see your idols, but you get to interact with them. And
Yeah.
they're cool people. They're not this arrogant, football player that's like, I don't have time for you, kid. No, your fucking idols are talking to you and signing autographs and, interacting, and there's no other sport on the face of the earth that's like this, that you get to, hang out with the people that you get to watch on, now in our social day and age on YouTube and all this stuff. And
they just walk around Hammertown like the rest of us. You
Yeah.
just see them in town. Hey, what's up?
Humble.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm just going to get ice
Humble.
cream.
people, yeah, these racers, pit crew, whoever it is, it's humble. They're all out there for one goal. But they're gonna do their best to beat you on the course. But at the end of the day, around the campfire, everybody's just people and hanging out, and we share a common thread of, off-roading and
Let's have
doing
fun.
it at different speeds.
Yeah.
I do it at 4 or
Everybody
5
started
miles
on
an
the
hour. You
rocks.
guys do it at 105. But yeah, no, it's that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You know,
it's a
and-
great community, and everybody's so uplifting too. And I've said it before, that Jesse really paved the way for women in this sport, and I feel like I've never felt any contention with any other participant or
Right.
someone in whatever. But it's just so cool that everyone's so cool.
Right.
So,
Right. I mean, it is. And yeah, break down those barriers, whatever you want to say, gender, whatever.
yeah, girls can too.
You proved
Absolutely.
yourself out there, and I was super proud to know you and have the relationship that we've had on the podcast here over the years, and get to know your family and see you cross that line. It was fucking electric.
Hey, man, I've got a Hammers winner in my house right now. How effing cool is that?
Right? So yeah, what a cool thing, man. So I gotta ask, and it might be obvious, but like, what was your highlight?
Oh boy, I hadn't even thought about that question yet.
Yeah, because you pinned me down the last podcast on that one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, because I think I asked this question around the campfire the last night in Camp 2, I was like,
You did.
everybody,
You
what's your
did.
favorite part?
Yeah.
And it's still the people for me. Like the resounding answer that I've gotten from everyone that I've asked that question of is, this was the best hammers ever. Like,
Yeah.
it was the event itself was good. The vibe was good. The weather was great.
Oh God,
It
was
just-
incredible.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, I get to come home with a trophy, dude. Like my first time, and I'm coming home with a trophy in 48.
Sweet.
And how many years have you been going?
I've been going since 2014, so this is my 12th hammers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. And you said that, and, you know, for me, it's getting to be on the start line during, you know, EMC day, 4400 day, and all that. But this hammers by far took the cake. It was a combination of all the things you just said. The weather, everything just lined up. The stars lined up, and then with you finishing well, it would have been great if somebody else would have took 4-time king here. But
I know that was a bummer.
it was a bummer.
I was more upset about that than
4400
getting
day
second.
was a disappointing day. A lot of our horses did not finish, but that was the only negative I could say about hammers is just 4400 day did not turn out how I thought it was
No.
going to.
Yeah, actually, good point.
Not at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Like everything else was fucking on point. So much fun. Our camp, Hammertown Heights Estates, was going off. You know, it was just fun. It was a great hammers. But I wish 4400 would have went better. I really thought it would have been the king and queen.
Man,
That
I
would
was
have been fucking
been-
awesome.
I was hoping and praying for it so hard. I put
It's
so
still-
much work into
it's-
that car
It's
this
gonna
year.
happen. It's gonna
Next
happen.
Yeah,
Next year.
It
Next
will
year.
happen. I predict
But
it will happen.
I got to share this story. So, 4400 morning, everybody lined it up, right? And you're sitting there next to Randy at the getting ready for the national anthem at the short course. And I said, "All right, man, it's a good day. Have a great day." I stole your line, Amber. That's it. I love that. I mean, it's just mindset, right?
Yeah,
It's a good day to have a great day.
totally, dude.
And then what did you say? You said, "I did my part."
Oh,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Shit.
And then, but Randy was cool as a cucumber and sitting there. And I mean, everything was lined up to make this thing happen. But unfortunately, fucking mechanical bullshit.
But that's
Um,
racing.
That's
It's
racing.
You know?
racing. It's racing. And that's the shitty part of it.
Yeah. You get the most, literally the most exciting day of my life lined up next to the most disappointing day of the year.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Exactly. And then a fucking golf cart crosses the line first. So, but whatever.
we knew
Yeah,
that was gonna happen.
that's a whole
Yeah.
other podcast that we've talked about. But,
oh, for sure.
It's just interesting, and that's what hammers brings out. It's you could have the best drivers in the world, the best vehicle in the world, and that doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. All the cards are on the table. Anything can happen, and it does happen.
Mhm.
And you can prepare all you want. You know, it's luck of the draw, and how the cards are gonna lay out. But
Well, there's always another race day. There's always another race.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we said earlier, if Cameron Steele hadn't had so many issues, he was so far ahead of us. He had that thing in the bag, and I agree. Like, I pretty much got lucky this year. Like, talent plays into it a lot, but
Yep.
the stars just aligned for me, and this was the year. So
Yep. And it was awesome to watch.
Just wait till next year.
I don't want to wait till next year to see Amber race again. So on that note, what's
Yeah.
next? What is
Good
next?
question, Chris.
Easter Jeep Safari.
Oh, Easter Jeep
Well, no,
Safari.
that ain't
Yeah.
a race.
So
I know.
Well, that's wreck. But I mean, are you going to race in Prairie City? Are you going
Not planning on it. No, I don't have any races planned up or lined up for the rest of the year. There's a couple, like I'd like to do Moab and I'd like to do Sturgis. But for the most part, I'd like to go down to Johnson Valley a couple more times and go wreck wheeling and practice that way. But yeah, I don't have any other races lined up currently. That the schedule's still TBD officially.
TBD.
TBD determined.
Yeah, we'd love to see you race at Prairie City. That'd be badass. Get the bomber out there.
Yeah.
Tear it up.
I mean, it's only an hour and a half away. Why not?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Do it.
Hey, it's not me that you have to convince. He's in Nevada right now, so work on that one.
Tie
for
him
me.
up and make it happen.
He's in my house.
We're on kill for the hammers next year.
We've got a target on our back now. Not that there wasn't one before.
That's 49 weeks from now.
Target on our back. We have a target on everybody's back. Next year.
Oh gosh.
Amber's too nice.
You have to count. There's a countdown clock going in the shop right now. 49 weeks and 12 days.
It's going in my heart.
Amber's too nice. We're gonna be set on kill next year.
Right on. All right. What's going on?
What do you say?
Who's?
Oh, us boys are going to gang up, is what Randy just said.
Oh boy.
We got our headsets on, so we couldn't hear him.
I think Amber proved herself this year.
Oh yeah, 100%.
No doubt.
She came out swinging.
Yeah.
And next year, it's
it is.
I
just get this girl in a bomber, and she's going to dominate. And she proved it this year.
Absolutely.
And no more knife to a gunfight.
No. You're not bringing a knife to a gunfighting.
No.
It wasn't even a knife. It was like a fucking little
needle?
piece of metal shank that she carved before.
A rubber knife.
Rubber knife. There we go. It was one of those little play toys that kids get in those kits for
it was play school shit.
Yeah.
Now we got real race car shit going on.
She proved herself this year.
Yeah, I really appreciated your comment, Tom, when we were coming into Spooners and I did that waterfall at the bottom, and I was like, I've never done this waterfall before, and I just whipped right up at it, and you're like, damn, you can rock crawl.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, 100%.
Rock crawl. And I knew that from rec wheeling with her. She knows how to rock crawl. It was impressive to me to see the desert and just how hard she charged. And that's what I went back and told my friends.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, this is the real deal. This is it.
Yeah, and Randy had told me, I can't remember if it was before or after the fact, but he was not completely sure that I'd be competitive in the desert until he rode with me after shock tuning, and then he had second thoughts on that comment.
That's cool.
And that was what
cool.
That was what made it up for me too. You do this long enough, you just know, you know.
And as humble as you are, Amber, but then to hear a comment like that from him, that had to inspire you a little bit.
Oh yeah, and the second part of that comment was he knew that I would be competitive in the rocks.
Yeah. That's cool.
And I still doubted myself even after that comment.
Lightning McQueen.
I am speed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, this is good. Any other stories or anything from race day that you want to share?
I think I should probably touch on. I made a comment earlier about how me and Stuart flipped. We were out pre-running and came into a corner a little too hot and caught a berm and just tipped it on the side. But we got it right back over and just using the high lift, and that was the one use on the high lift. So it wasn't race prep for race day, but now that's on my list of things to do.
Race prep notes, 2 high lifts. One for pre-running and one for...
Yeah, that to the high lift. Chris is holding up his middle finger.
King needs to give her a jack.
Oh yeah, you need one of those fancy jacks.
Yeah, and an impact on the car.
Yeah,
King
ought to give her an impact.
Yeah, we got to get an impact on the car. Yeah.
Work on that.
Okay. Things for next year.
I'm gonna snap that thing in half over my knee next year.
Wow.
Don't hurt yourself.
What happened to a code dog? Well, he's back there.
He's fighting with the high lift jack.
Right.
He's boxing right now.
There's a brawl. It's not on Chocolate Thunder. It's in Jack right now. Or Highway 20.
Yeah.
So, other than those two things, what other lessons did you learn from this year?
Oh, so this is a good one. I realized this going into Hammers Week that I need to focus more on like my finesse in the rocks. Like I can rock crawl and I can kind of hammer on it, but I need to be more gentle with the car because there was a lot of stuff that I hit harder than I should have, and like rocks that I could have avoided with my tire and gone so much faster and so much smoother. And that's something I'm going to work heavily on this year with rock crawling and wreck wheeling. Is just the finesse, because you know how it is. Every single hit on the car is going to fatigue something, or it's going to fatigue you. So,
yeah, I love the analogy that Kevin Jones says. It's like a little ball peen hammer hitting something, right? Like it's those constant hits, the constant, the little thing. It's eventually going to cause a problem.
Yeah. So just minimizing those will make for a faster race and a smoother race, and it'll be better on the car and it's better on us. So I'll be faster next year, I promise.
There you go.
What's crazy about her saying that too is
That's the title of this
earlier in
episode. She'll be
podcast, I talked
faster
about
next
how
year.
smooth of a rock race I thought we had,
Mhm.
and for me as a co-driver, I mean, there were some hits, like we killed a tire, and every now and again there was stuff, but the diff hits and the belly hits were so minimal.
Really?
Me. It was just it fatigued me so much less than I expected as a co-driver with how smooth it was in the rocks. She was just fast and smooth in the rocks. So for her to want to get even smoother and faster, I that's pretty crazy to hear that, like it can get better than that, because it already felt great.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Coming from a samurai, yeah.
Samurai with her. I just wasn't.
That's right. You didn't do the rocks, yeah. Stuart's the
Right.
real hero there, the right
Wow.
seat hero.
We did Turkey Claw last year.
Okay.
The rocks, and that guy ran me over. And that
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus, that's right.
Killing it.
my gosh.
It was like race mile 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5 or something. Hey, really quick, can we go over the RCPs that I missed? Because I know
Please.
people have a lot of questions on those.
Please.
Sorry, Tom. So we already talked about the one on the wrecking ball. That was the first one. And for anyone that doesn't know, if you miss an RCP, which is a rock checkpoint, it's a 15-minute penalty.
Mhm.
And so it's basically a GPS coordinate on our maps, and you have a 50-foot radius around it. So you can hit it from 25 feet in either direction.
Yeah, either
25 feet away from it. So we talked about the one in Wrecking Ball. The next one was in going down Outer Limits, and it was the exact same thing that happened in Wrecking Ball. It was the race or the wreck wheeling line that I was used to taking, and I should have looked at the map better. And
so should I. I should have been looking at the GPS more than I was looking at the rocks and having fun.
Yeah, I was really stoked to get to run Outer Limits down because I really like that line that I took. If you watch the live feed, it's the moment that the drone is on Cody and I come out of nowhere, right?
Really?
That's what it looks like.
It took gnarly.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Like
Yeah, it wasn't like you were cutting course or anything.
The Outer Limits up and over is gnarly.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a bypass. It's definitely a lot smoother than going down in the rocks where Cody where the RCP was. That's why they put the RCPs down there, is to keep us in the rocks and out of the bypasses. But so that one happened, and then going up Spooners.
I don't even remember that one, to be completely. I've looked at it several times. I don't remember it.
I know that one is fuzzy to me too. I'm going to be honest. But I think it was, again, just me taking the wreck wheeling line because I hadn't pre-run Outer Limits or Spooners. And and I should have looked at the map and gotten familiar with where the RCPs were beforehand, because I had downloaded them, and the day or two after we got the maps, I was on my iPad just going through RCPs and looking at the satellite images and being like, oh yeah, this one's here, this one's here, this one's here, and then I never got to Outer Limits and Spooners.
Mm-hmm. I think what was most frustrating for me with those, with missing them, was we missed 3, as she just said, and we went over the 2, the Wrecking Ball and Spooners. They were in such little rocks. We could have blasted through there and had no penalties at all, and she would have motored through just as fast as if we had taken those lines. And the only reason we were taking those lines was to try and get around cars. The spinners one, as she said, was a little fuzzy. I don't really remember that one. Or sorry, the outer limits one. The outer limits one had legit rocks, but we still took that gnarly bypass up and over. But the spinners and wrecking ball one, we could have jammed through the RCP just as fast as we went around the other way. So it's frustrating for me as a co-driver to not have seen that and not have told her to stay in there.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer on my part.
It's okay. It's like I keep saying, it's our first time.
First time, and you learned a lot.
It's not a bad first time.
Second
place is not a bad first showing. But.
Yeah, so that's what they officially gave me, in case nobody's been caught up, is official second place in the Everyman Challenge. So
Every woman challenge.
Every woman challenge.
Everyone.
And Chris, what did you say the title of the episode's going to be?
I'll go faster next year, or something to that effect.
Yeah, there's a chip. If Amber will have me again next year as co-driver, there's going to be quite the chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, and targets on our backs.
I don't know. Like you can. I like your mentality on that, and that's where you're still a nicer person than I am. Where you're saying targets on our backs, targets on their backs, targets on everyone's back.
Yeah. Well, we can also talk on that point too, because I know I drove really, really aggressively in the rocks, and some people might not have liked that. And I felt really bad about it too, and I tried to apologize to as many people as I could. Sorry. But I realized after the fact, I was like, dude, when that fire suit goes on and the helmet and you're strapped in, and that's not nice to Amber anymore. Sorry, everybody.
Racing. This is racing.
And still, I've said this to people that have made comments to me or reach out to me after the race that don't even necessarily know Amber personally. They just know her through racing. I feel like the aggressive decisions that were made during that race were primarily instigated by myself. Amber's a great driver and she is aggressive, but the bumping to pass and the very quick getting back going again decisions were primarily me telling her hey, do the stuff.
Yeah, you saw the crash video. Tom was immediately like, drive it.
Yeah, and,
go.
And when we had to pass Cody in that steep downhill section, it's not a super nice place to pass someone. But at the same time, if you're not going at what our race pace is, and I'm on the horn as loud as I possibly can be, and you're not going to move for us, I'm sorry, but you need to move.
Yeah,
there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to move, or we will move you.
Dave said it in as many drivers' meetings as I can remember. If someone's on your butt, you've been caught. Let them pass.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and they're lucky you're as nice as you are.
Well, thank you.
The bumper on the bumper on Randy's car and JP's car and Raul's car, it don't look like that because of nothing.
From being nice.
There's reasons you use that bumper, and there's times when it's. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to ruin your day, and I know everybody's out there to run their race, but if we're catching you and we're doing everything in our power to let you know that we're there, and you're not going to move or you don't see us, I'm going to move you.
Yeah.
It's there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Watch Randy runs over.
Right. Rambling man.
Throwing it down.
It's hard. It's a hard decision to make for her. I could see it every time I told her to do it, there was still a little bit of hesitation. Fuck, I don't want to fuck this person's day up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is racing. We got to go. Boom.
Yeah.
And Cody's fast as shit.
Yeah.
Cody and Guy, they ran a hell of a race, but there were just spots where,
you were faster.
Amber could hang it out a little bit
more.
And she had the ability to do it, and we wanted to go, and it's just is what it is.
Yeah. Man.
Oh yeah, public apology to everyone that I might have pissed off.
Too nice.
That might be the title too. I don't know. I got a lot of choices here.
Yeah. Man, what a bunch of cool stories here, and just I love this, and I appreciate hearing all the behind the scenes and in car stuff that was going down. What a great freaking day, and unfortunately, a few checkpoints missed. Live and learn, but nobody can take away you coming across that finish line physically first.
No.
And that was super validating and empowering. And I was glad to be there to watch that happen.
Thank you. And I appreciate you guys documenting these stories too, because I love listening to my first podcast with you guys. It's so cool to hear those stories and go back down memory lane of the first year I raced. And so in a couple of years, I'm going to come back and listen to this one and I get to relive the whole thing.
Yeah.
There you go. We're glad to be able to do that for you.
I appreciate Amber letting me come along for the ride. That was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, like you said, coming into the short course, we're gonna win King of the Hammers.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a place I never thought I'd be as a driver or co-driver or anything.
Yeah. Likewise, dude. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I never thought I could do that.
It was surreal.
Sure.
It was a place that I never thought that I would be in my life.
Yeah.
Popping a bottle of champagne with Cameron Steele and Cody Young on the podium like that was not in my bingo card.
Yeah.
Not in your bingo card.
That could be the title too. I don't know.
And then I got Cameron Steele to sign my trophy.
Oh,
I know. How about that?
I came up to him and I didn't do it on stage or anything, but we were all standing there waiting for him. And I was like, "Hey, Cameron, I'm a really big fan. I think you're super badass, and I don't want to be a dick, but will you sign my trophy?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
Oh, funny.
He was super cool though.
wow.
I mean, that's it comes down to the camaraderie and all the stuff going on the lake bed, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Good times,
It's a Cinderella story.
I can't wait till next year, man. This is gonna be super cool. We got
Right.
49. I think it's about 49 more weeks.
Who's
Something
counting?
like that. Holy smokes.
We've got all springtime to go wheeling.
Spring, sun. We got a whole
Yeah, we got some
rest
bunch of
wheeling
seasons
coming
before
up.
we get to
My
that
birthday
point.
party's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I wanna
yeah.
come to your birthday party this year.
Well,
Can I get an invite?
Your
Tom?
birthday is 10 days after mine.
Yep, you're invited. It's
Okay.
All the
April
cool kids
11th.
are.
We're gonna burn it down.
Yeah.
Wow.
This coming from a firefighter.
I know, right?
So,
Well, if he knows
that's awesome.
If he knows how to build them, he can put them out too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, Randy and Amber came out last year. It was a super fun time. We'll go run some local Nevada trails.
I think you had 40 people on the trail that day.
Yeah.
It was
There was a lot of
rad.
people.
Hopefully, I'll have some tires by then.
You better.
Running on slicks. I'm working on it. I need some sponsors.
Right.
If TSL wants to sponsor this podcast, please get in contact with Jason at wheelandwineandwhiskey.com.
Right.
No, good stuff. Man, appreciate the time. And this is, like I say, this is the first for us with Amber being down there at Chris's house and Tom up here at my house. We're about to have a killer lasagna dinner up here. So, sorry, not sorry down there in Livermore.
Well, Amber's got a 2.5 hour drive. And
I know. And then Amber's got to drive back to Gardnerville.
All right, let's put a bow on this, Jason.
All right, there it is. Chris just put the wrap-up sign on this thing. Great stories, great stuff. Thank you for your time, Tom, coming over here, and Amber driving down to Livermore for Chris.
Oh, she was visiting her family, but this happened. It's a bonus for me. I'm
It is
excited.
you winning.
I get to see
Hashtag
Chris's
winning.
house
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and meet his puppy.
Meet
yeah.
the bloom and all the chaos down there.
The kitty
And the
cats.
fam.
Yep. Saw the new car out in the front and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Chris has got a new cars. I mean, bougie.
broke.
Hashtag Chris
I'm
winning.
broke. Chris is broke. So anyway.
All right, Chris, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, they can do it multiple ways. Well, best way is by the IG at Wheeling Wine Whiskey. You can also email us at, Chris is at wheelingwinewhiskey.com or Jason at wheelingwinewhiskey.com. Another great way to get a hold of us is to call and leave a voicemail. And that number is 408-800-5169. Again, that's 408-800-5169.
Yeah, comment on this episode. This is good stuff.
We love the feedback. Lorenzo loves to screen all these things. He doesn't do a very good job because pretty much everything makes it through. So
He's slacking. What's new?
Yeah.
Of course, you can go to our website, wheelingwinewhiskey.com, and you'll see all of our past episodes there. And you can also see our merch links if you want to represent with some swag. You have sweatshirts, T-shirts, hats, and stickers, of course. And we haven't mentioned reviews in a while. If you go on the Apple Podcast or whatever they call it now,
Apple iTunes,
leave a review there, and then DM Jason at Wheeling Wine Whiskey. We'll be happy to send you a sticker, and you can stick the sticker on your rig or on your tow rig or whatever, and you can represent the show that way. We certainly appreciate any representation we see out in the public and the real world.
We saw a lot out at KOH.
Oh, hell yeah, we did. People wearing hats and T-shirts
hats,
and stickers
everywhere.
It was super cool. So
you guys have been doing this pretty much as long as I have, and you guys
I was going to say,
have your own name now too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, appreciate it. How do they get a hold of you, Amber?
I am DeBurs on Instagram and Amber Slawson on Facebook. And Two Stone Racing on Facebook as well. You can add my face page. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. And Tom, how do they find you? Or do you want to be found?
I don't want to be found.
The man of mystery.
I'm on all the social medias and that stuff, and pretty much gone all summer at work, so there's not much finding me.
You want to tell them what your IG page is, or you let them figure it out?
No, I use Tom L4402, and then I'm tagged in a bunch of Amber stuff, so you can find me through there too.
There you go.
Perfect.
Ta-da.
Right on.
Love it.
Good stuff, man. And with that,
we're out.
Tee-hee.
Nice.